Welcome to Behind the Business. I'm Faheem Sabja, and on every episode, we go beyond the business plans and discover the real life and untold stories of today's entrepreneurs. It's time for the people behind the business. Let's get into it. But dude, I appreciate you being on.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Of course, yeah, me too. And I'm gonna kick it right off.
Okay.
Go right into it. So we were talking earlier, and you mentioned, and you've posted this online publicly, that you thought you had reached the pinnacle, right? You did what everyone wanted to do. You got a job at Meta. It was something that you had wanted to do for a really long time. Your parents, your friends, your classmates, your colleagues are probably all envious of the role that you got.
Yeah.
And then something changed.
Yeah.
What happened?
So about 6 months into the role, I started to just realize every day when I would wake up, I was like, why am I not happy going to work?
Yeah.
Like we had talked about, I loved the actual job that I was doing. My best part of my day was talking to these clients, figuring out their marketing strategies, when they would implement it, and then it would actually do something to their revenue goals or whatever goal they were trying to achieve. I was like, this is so fun.
Yeah.
But everything else was sucking the life out of me. Just because working a corporate life, it's not just the client goal. It's everything else that you have to do and you have to abide by, right? Even new products that were coming out, having to push that on clients, or, having to climb the corporate ladder by creating good relationships. I was just I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what happened. I just started to feel dreadful of waking up and going to work. And I was questioning myself. I was like, what? This is what you've been wanting to do for your entire life.
Yeah.
Right? Working at Meta or working at a big tech company.
Yeah.
Why did I feel so sad?
Yeah.
So I stayed for kind of as long as I could. I actually started having conversations with my boss about it. Okay. I was pretty open about she'd be internally, right? Because I was hitting all my goals really well. Things were going really well. So she was it was I think about a year into my role. She was where what do you want to do next? Because there was a natural progression when you're in that role. You usually move up and So I was like, look, I don't know, but this is how I feel. This is the part of my job that I really love to do.
Yeah. And
all of the rest of this stuff, I'm just I'm really dreading it. And she was super cool. She understood where I was coming from.
Really?
And I started to tell her it was affecting my mental health, right? Because in a way I had achieved something so great, but I was also just internally battling this, why am I not feeling happy? What's going on?
Right.
So she actually encouraged me to take some time away. She was like, look, you can take a short-term leave, figure it out.
Wow.
I can tell that your head is just not there. And I think I really needed it. I think she was a really great boss in that she understood her employees and knew how to do that and develop that conversation. So that's what I did. I actually took I think 4 weeks off.
Okay. And this was recently or at a time before the pandemic?
This is before the pandemic.
Before it was common to take leave.
Yes, exactly. So this was in 2017. Yeah.
Wow.
So 2017, when people didn't talk about mental health.
Yeah.
It was a big deal that I was taking a mental health leave. Even my parents, my brother, my friends, they were like, is everything okay? It was but nowadays, it's more common to talk about, which I'm so happy about, right? Because it's now I can be more open. I took a mental health leave. I kind of had to do it for myself. Just because I was really drowning in overthinking, kind of anxiety about the situation.
Yeah.
And so, I took those 4 weeks thinking maybe if I just cleared my head and went back, I would feel better about it. Maybe I'm just going through a phase,
Yeah.
So then I went back, and very quickly I was like, wow, I still hate this.
Oh my God. So it's interesting because you took the time off.
Yeah.
And did you find that during that time off, you've actually figured it out, or did you only figure it out once you went back?
I think I only figured it out once I went back. I was really hoping that time off would like just give my mind some ease, right? Like it was coming to a point where like I couldn't sleep the night before work.
Oh man.
You know, not that it was a stressful job. It was just like I was internally battling this like I'm just not feeling happy. Like what's going on?
Yeah.
And so it gave my mind some rest, right? Like I got like distance from the situation, which is what I needed. But when I went back, that's really the clarity that I got. That was like, oh, this is the only part of this job that I really love to do. And I have no idea why this is happening, but I have to move away from this for my own like well-being.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Because it came to the point where it was like, if I stay at Meta, I'm going to always have to do the other stuff.
Yeah.
To climb the corporate ladder, to like become, you know, the director of a department or do whatever I needed to do. But that concept seemed so far away from me that I was like, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah, and so you can't detach the two. You can't detach the two, especially at a company like Meta or any big company.
Any big company, yeah. So that was like really my sign. It was about a week after I came back. So people were not happy, but they also understood that I just kind of had to do what I have to do. Yeah. But the cool part was that I had to tell my clients that I was leaving, right? And they actually decided to, two of them were like, hey, we'd love to hire you as like a part-time consultant to help us with our marketing strategies. And I was like, oh, maybe this is a sign, you know? So that was cool to do. And, you know, like Meta was still cool with me starting, like I told them in my exit interview, like, hey, I'm going to start an agency. Like, are you okay with this? And they of course were like, sure, you're still providing value to our tools, right?
Yeah, cool.
Like, I run a lot of money on Meta ads. So they're like, sure. Like, as long as there's no like conflict of interest.
Did you expect that they were going to have an issue with it?
I didn't know what to expect because I was like, well, technically I'm doing the same thing I'm doing at Meta, but I'm going to do it on my own.
Right.
And they were like, well, there's no conflict of interest because you're still putting money into our tools. So I was like, great. Amazing.
Because it could have gone another way.
Could have gone a total different way. Yeah.
It's fine.
But they were fine. Yeah. That's not really like an NDA, right? Like it's not like I'm a competitor. I'm literally still, if anything, I'm just making you more money, hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no conflict of interest, but yeah, so that's kind of my like story of actually leaving and being like, okay, like I needed to do that.
That's so good. I think it's often difficult because what really stops people from, we talked about this earlier, right? What stops people from making the jump is the fear of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
And what was nice to hear from your story is that you had confirmation that this was not for you.
Yeah.
Right. And not only did you have confirmation that it wasn't for you, but you had confirmation that maybe there's opportunity there.
Exactly.
From your clients.
Well, here's another thing is that in 2017, e-commerce just started to become a thing, right? People just started to shop online.
Right.
And so I kind of saw that window of opportunity early. I was like, I could see this becoming the new way that people shopped. And if I got in early, then this could really change things for me.
So great.
Yeah.
But you must have started small, right? I think you mentioned to me outside that your first client was a chiropractor.
Yeah. So I didn't know where to start. So I was like, you know what? I was like, we'd listen to like Shark Tank and like how I built this. And I was like, what can I do that all these like successful people are doing? And so I just started to talk to people. Like whoever I knew, like whether that was like in our like religious community or like outside. And I remember I had like later, like right after I had quit Facebook, I had a chiropractic appointment and my chiropractor was like, so like, what are you doing now? And I was like, oh, you know, like I just started a digital marketing agency. I'm like trying to help small businesses like run ads. And he was like, no way, I just started a supplement line and we just created a website. Like, would you help me? And I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he was my first client and we had like, I mean, I barely charged him anything because I was like, just trust me. Like, let's try, like, let me see how this thing works.
Right.
Right.
And it's for you too to figure out, you know, how you could structure something Yeah.
Totally. 2 weeks later, he calls me and he's like, Salima, I have 3 more clients for you. And I was like, amazing. One of the clients was a CPG brand.
Okay.
They made desserts out of fruits and vegetables. And they had like a factory just like 30 miles outside of Austin. And they were like, we are only in stores and we need to create like a direct to consumer like avenue. And so I kind of helped them do it from scratch, which was like the coolest experience because I literally saw it from the ground up. Right. Again, barely charged them anything, but like till this day, I use everything I learned from going into that factory every day, trying to figure out like shipping costs, trying to figure out how we were going to like ship this like food and beverage product to like everywhere in the United States, building their website from scratch, like doing all this stuff for them.
Yeah.
It was the best decision ever. Now that I look back on it.
Right.
Even though like that first year of business, it was like I barely made any money. It was like still hands down the year that I learned the most.
Did you enjoy it the most compared to where you are now?
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of the people who start off, like the beginning is a slog, right? You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to manage your own schedule, but you're also trying to add value to your customers.
Yeah.
How was that first year?
You know, to be completely honest, it was probably the toughest year I've had in business. But a lot of it wasn't because I didn't like the work that I was doing. It was because I didn't know anybody else who was doing this. Right? Like I felt so alone. Like on social media, all of these things, like it was still very like, I think I had a lot of shame around it too. Cause it was like, I quit this great job, right? Like everybody around me was still questioning what I was doing. They were like, how did you leave this like great opportunity? And now you're like, just kind of helping these like mom and pop shops with all of this stuff. So I was like, that first year, there was still something inside of me that was like, keep going.
Yeah.
Just like keep going.
Yeah.
Because I liked it. I enjoyed it. And I knew that there was something there. But I think mentally it was tough. Like I still had this like voice inside my head that was like, why did I do this?
Well, not even in your head. Like you have people telling you.
People telling me. Yeah. Well, you know, I had support. Like my dad's an entrepreneur and he's done this before. So like he was like, you know, since I was a kid, he was like, bake a cake, but bake it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that was like our motto growing up. And so, and actually very shortly after I started my own business, my brother started his own business.
Amazing.
So we both kind of saw that. But outside of that little circle, I didn't know anybody else doing this. And everyone in like my friends, everybody, they're trying to become doctors, like pharmacists, like have like real life jobs. And so when I would talk to them about work, it was so far away from them.
Yeah.
So I think that first year for me, and I think I was younger too, right? I was like 25 years old, which doesn't seem like that long ago, but like it was 6-7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It was tough. I was in a different headspace.
Yeah.
Now I feel way more confident about it, right? Like I'm like best decision of my life.
For sure. For sure.
But it was tough the first year.
It's funny you say that because like it's great that you had a support system.
Yeah.
Right. But you still felt alone in the process, especially amongst your friends. And one thing that I often think about is it for them to understand? Like, is it for your friends, your family sometimes, even like other colleagues or people that you know to get what you're trying to do? And
totally.
Maybe it isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I agree with you, actually. I think as long as they are okay and they kind of like listen and let you be, the rest really is for you to decide, right? Like the way you run your business, the way you do things. I do believe that we all have this like intuitive nature in us, right? And we have to kind of listen to that.
Yeah.
And know that even if you fail, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone talks about the concept of failing fast, right?
Yeah.
Did you find that you put yourself in a position where you said, okay, I'm going to try this for X number of time, and then if it didn't work, like, did you think about that when you were starting out?
Totally. I did. And I like encourage people to do this too when they, if they do decide to like start their own thing, like make calculated risks, right? Like at some point you're going to be an adult, you're going to have responsibilities.
For sure.
And so I did make like a calculated risk, right? Like I knew I had a strong resume. I worked at Meta. I had this like experience in the marketing field. Yes, maybe I wouldn't be able to directly work in big tech again.
Sure.
But maybe I could go back and, you know, work somewhere else. If all else failed.
Right.
So like I did have it in the back of my head, but I also, and I know this now, I still fail all the time, like every day. Like I will put something out and it's just like tanks.
Right.
Or like from like marketing strategies to sales calls to like new processes in the company to like even stuff that I put out on social media, right? Like I'm like, nobody cares. Yeah. It fails sometimes, but that's okay. Like I've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
But I think back then, yes, I did have a backup plan. But I also, like I said, what really helped was like, you know how they say you are like who you surround yourself with? And at the time, like, yes, the only other person I knew who had like a successful entrepreneurship career was my dad. I would ask him for a lot of help, but I would like listen to a lot of stuff. I would watch a lot of stuff. I would read books from like famous entrepreneurs because I was like, this is the only thing that will help me be like, okay, it's okay to kind of do it on your own, you know?
It's so interesting because I think a lot of people will try and find outlets or, you know, resources to help them along the way. But you had your dad.
Yeah.
How much of an impact did he have in you being comfortable leaving Meta or you feeling comfortable starting your own thing?
Yeah. So the day before I left, I invited him to the office for the first time.
Okay.
And he was just like, there's 6 floors of food, Salima. You have nap pods. Like I took him.
You're leaving this?
Yeah. He's like, you know, like we came to America for this. And I was like, I know, but Dad, like, remember, bake a cake, but bake for yourself.
Oh.
Right? And he was like, you know, beta. I support you. Like, whatever you want to do, I support you. But yes, oh my gosh, still, like, the amount of calls my dad gets in the middle of the day from both me and my brother now, right? Like, he owns his own business too, but, like, every decision, everything, we kind of run it past him.
No way.
Still till even today. Even today. I'm like, Dad, I'm running into this issue with my employee. What do I do? And he's like, look, from my experience, if your employee is acting this way, this is what the long term is going to be.
Yeah.
Let me just like help you mitigate this now.
Yeah.
But it is a really different world, right? Like he didn't grow up in the online space.
Right.
He's very like brick and mortar. And so it's a different world and a different like business altogether. But he still has a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And I think having him provided that pillar that I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's more so the soft skills, like because he may not have like the technical online background or, you know, digital marketing experience, of course, but he has a people experience.
Totally.
And I feel like, and we've talked about this as well, that people or managing people, working with people, dealing with customers is like an integral part of being an entrepreneur.
I think it's like 95% of your job.
Right?
Totally. I think it's like such a big part of your job that you don't even realize.
Yeah.
Like the skill set that you have,
yeah,
it's going to be just a very small percentage of the reason why people work with you.
Right.
Yes, your skill set is important. You need to deliver results.
Yeah.
And that is very important.
Mm-hmm.
But like I always tell my employees this too, like we are a relationship first agency.
Yeah.
Like our main job is not to do what we want for the client.
Right.
It's for us to listen to them.
Right.
And to do what they want us to do and develop really strong relationships.
Yeah.
Like all of my clients have my personal cell phone number.
Wow.
Which is like unheard of in the agency space, right? But we create that relationship. And I don't just give it to them right away.
Sure.
We create a relationship and we create that like trust between I'm going to give you this knowing that you're not going to blow up my phone all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully.
But yeah, I completely agree. Like relationships and learning how to deal with people is going to make or break you.
Yeah. Almost all of it.
Almost all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy to me because I think a lot of people think that jumping into entrepreneurship is about what you know, right?
Yeah.
And everyone says, oh, it's really about who you know. But I don't think it's actually about who you know. It's how you deal with the people that you're going to know.
Totally.
Right? Because like you said, when you first started, you were meeting people for the first time. It wasn't as though you had years of connections that you could leverage to start something of your own, you were basically bootstrapping it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that chiropractor led to 3 others, which led to others. And I think you had mentioned this recently, that only now are you actively trying to scale, because before all of your business was coming to you via word of mouth. Tell me about that. Like how did it scale? How did you manage your time when the word started to spread?
Yeah. So what happened was that the first, I think, like year and a half, it was like this person was telling this person was telling this person. And again, at that time, I was still so new and I was like figuring it out. Yeah. Right. Like super figuring it out.
Right.
So making very little money at the time. And then right about then COVID hit.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing from a digital marketing perspective.
Oh, it took my industry to another level.
Of course.
Right. Everybody started shopping online.
Right.
So at that time, I started working with more like retail brands, which was really great. That's what I wanted to focus on.
Right.
And a client had referred me or told an agency about me, actually. So an agency out in Alaska, they started to scale beyond their means and they needed to like bring on consultants quickly.
Got it.
So this client of mine told the agency, I'm working with this great girl. She has a lot of capacity. Like, would you be interested in working with her? And they reached out to me directly.
Amazing.
So I actually got contracted with that agency for like a year and a half.
Nice.
But that first agency that I worked with, the people that I worked with, the clients that I worked with at that agency, it's still bringing me business today.
Right.
And then even from there, I got like an even better agency reach out and be like, will you consult some of our clients for us?
Yeah.
So then that happened. And then again, like this was like a step up from the other agency, right? Like these people were kind of like the top dogs in the e-commerce world. So that's really where I learned like all the ins and outs, how to really build profitable e-commerce brands.
Amazing.
And so again, from there, new clients came, or like just to give you an example, right? A lot of these brands, I'm working with like a CMO. Sometimes I'm working with founders, but more than likely I'm working with like the CMO or the marketing director. Sometimes that marketing director leaves and then they go to a different company.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, I remember I worked with a really great agency.
Right.
That other company's working with them, but we can also work with them.
Yeah.
So then that's kind of how the trickle effect happened.
Got it.
And so just about almost a year and a half ago, I decided to like stop the agency stuff because I felt like I wasn't going all in to my own agency. And I was at the point where I was like, I've developed the skills. I can truly do this on my own.
For sure.
From there, what I learned at those 2 agencies was like insane. I learned all the ins and outs of like running an agency, right? And that's a big piece of advice I give to people if they want to do their own thing.
Yeah.
Find a mentor. Or like go work for somebody for a little bit who's doing what you want to do.
Yeah, the right way.
The right way. You'll learn the processes. You'll learn what to look out for. You'll learn like even like from a legal standpoint.
Right.
Right? Like how to deal with legal issues.
Right.
Just everyday things.
Yeah.
Like how do you want to manage your team?
Yeah.
So then like now, like a year and a half later, I was able to solidify that really quickly. In my own team, I knew who to hire. I knew what help I needed.
Amazing.
I was able to do that really quickly.
Yeah.
And then I was able to be like for instance, I meet with my team once a day in the morning, every single day. And then the rest of the day, they handle all my client work. The rest of the day now for me is, how do I build this business?
Right.
How do I help more businesses with like profitable e-com strategies or just like advertising strategies?
Because you're at that point now.
I'm at that point now but it wouldn't be possible unless I learned from all of the other ways, right? Because think about it. When you're an entrepreneur, half of your job is just figuring it out.
Yeah.
And that figuring it out takes forever.
Yeah. So if you can have a mentor, you have a place to go to learn the ropes.
Exactly.
Then you know what to do when you do it on your own.
Exactly.
Amazing. And now that you're doing it on your own, do you find that you're still kind of scraping it together?
Oh, 100%.
Or find that you're like, you know what to do now, or no, every day
there is a new, there's something new to deal with, right? There's always ups and downs. And so when I say like, I have an hour a day where I talk to my team, I tell them exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Some days, the rest of my day is going into like putting out fires, dealing with client issues, dealing with things that are just come up. I've had all sorts of things happen in the last year and a half. Like I said, like legal issues, like employee issues, like just a bunch of things. Yeah. But like, I'm so thankful for them, right? Like I need those to happen, because if I plan to like have this mission of helping businesses and grow and scale, I'm going to have to deal with them at
for sure. Point. So. Yeah, for sure. I want to switch over to helping businesses.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what I really enjoy and one of my passions is helping small businesses.
Yeah.
But it's difficult. Like it's not easy to understand the mindset of small business owners. And thankfully, in the position that you're in, you are one, you know, and you are building one.
Yeah.
But what is the biggest challenge that you faced when dealing with customers who are small, maybe mid-sized business owners who want to scale but are coming to you for advice? Like,
yeah,
you're laughing. Yeah. There's a story in your head.
You know, you'd be so surprised that many business owners are just like you and I.
Yeah.
They have no idea what they're doing.
Just figure it out.
They have zero idea what's going on. So I think part of that intimidation goes away, because you're like, you're just figuring it out. So am I.
We're just figuring it out.
But here's the thing. I have just a little bit more experience than you.
Yeah.
Because
in this realm.
Well, because I have seen so many other people figure it out. So I can help you with how I've helped all of these other people, or have seen all these other people figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really what it comes down to, is like taking out that fear of like, you don't know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's do it together. But another thing with small business owners is that you do deal with different types of personalities, right? Some are more strong, some are more subtle. And you're going to have to figure out how to break through with each of those individual types of personalities.
Right.
Whether you're showing one person data, one person you're just doing it for them. Like there's been businesses that are massive that are like, they never talk to me. They're literally like, Salima, you do your thing.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, do it. This is the goal, do it. However you need to go, like do it. I don't even send them ads. I don't do anything. They have no oversight. They're just like, do it. This is our revenue goal. This is what we need to do. Maybe we'll talk once a month about new product drops, like strategy, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Then there are other businesses, sometimes smaller businesses, who I meet with twice a week.
Because they need it.
Well, they need it, but they also need a little bit more hand-holding, right? They have different goals. They have different objectives.
Got it.
Right? Some are just trying to build a brand. Some are trying to actually hit revenue numbers. Some are trying to do X, Y, and Z. But yeah, I think one of the biggest skills that I've learned, and I feel like I'm solidifying more like this year, is reading in between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's like, why are they saying it? What do you actually want to do? What are your goals? Because see, I have a goal as an agency. My goal is to make you as profitable as possible and running great ads and making you scale.
Right.
Right? That's my goal as an agency. But sometimes you have a completely different goal.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, as a service provider, I want to help you achieve that goal.
Yeah.
While still helping you see this other side of scaling.
For sure.
So I think that's how you build relationships too.
Right.
You don't always see it as your side of things.
Yeah.
You kind of have to see it from their side and see what they're truly trying to achieve.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do though, right? Because I think you're coming in with your skills and your background and your knowledge of how to do this the right way.
Yeah.
But it's easy to get caught up in, well, you should just do it this way.
Totally.
Right? Especially if everyone's goals, depending on the type of business, are very different. Right?
Totally.
How difficult is it to work with multiple personalities within a week, especially from a client perspective?
Yeah. Oh, even in a day, like sometimes I have 6 calls in a day and they're all different types of people.
Yeah.
You just honestly, like, staying as present as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said, listening.
Yeah.
I used to have this really bad habit where I would like talk over them. Right. And I started to realize after 4 or 5 times of this, like, not working out the way I wanted it to, that I have to listen. I have to do this better. Right. And it comes with time.
Yeah.
But like truly listening to them. Right. Like, just to give you an example, I'm working with this great brand right now. They sell eyewear online. They have a couple of different companies at the moment, but they've come to me. I used to work with them at another agency, and they came back to me, and their biggest thing is brand building. Like, they want these beautiful, like, super, like, high quality, crisp ads, which I don't know if you're on social media a lot, but that's not the way ads look nowadays. They're very native. They're usually somebody talking about a product and how great it is. And, you know, it's very native. Right. Yeah. But this is this brand's objective. And if that is what they want to do, I have to figure out how to do that while still bringing in results.
Even though you have an idea that, you know, we should probably be doing it a different way, or
totally
tailor it to them.
Yes, but I can still bring it up every so often.
Yeah.
Right? And show them data.
Right.
Like, and I have to understand, will they understand data or not? Right? Like, and what kind of data do I need to show them? Do I need to show them like revenue numbers from a different brand that is very similar to them and how they've gotten there? Will that actually reciprocate to them?
Yeah.
So honestly, a lot of it has to come, like, I try to plan my calls a little bit too.
Yeah.
And I can't say it every single call.
Of course.
Because then they'll be like, she doesn't get it.
Yeah.
She's not listening to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I have to remember, this isn't my business. That's your business.
Yeah.
I'm here to service you. I'm here to help you do whatever you got to do.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it comes with a lot of like
patience, I'm sure.
Patience and listening and like thoughtfulness. But again, skill that took time. Before, like, if you asked me 2 years ago, it was a completely different game. I was like, you're wrong. Let me tell you how you actually grow your business. Right? And then I would like really try to be like, and on every call, like, no, you need to do this. You need to do this. But yeah.
Oh man. It's cool to see that you've talked to so many, whether it's CMOs, whether it's entrepreneurs, whether it's like sole business owners throughout the course of your career now. Is it that you've seen entrepreneurs that have like one type of personality or one type of craziness to like actually become an entrepreneur? Because I think in all of my experiences, entrepreneurs have to be like a little bit crazy, like just a little bit, you know, outside the box in their thinking to say, you know what, screw the norm that everyone is doing. I'm just going to go against the grain and see what happens.
Yeah.
Do all the people that you've talked to in your career from like a client perspective, if they're entrepreneurs themselves, do they have that?
They do. You know what I've noticed? I think a lot of them have an overthinking personality.
You're kidding.
Not even joking. I think like that's how I relate to them too, right? Because it's like you think about it. They have created this product from nothing.
Okay.
There's no way that their mind isn't constantly kind of thinking about this thing that they've created, right? And how to get it out there, how to do different things, how to create more products. So I have noticed that they overthink a lot.
Okay.
And the other part is, like I said before, Faheem, they also, like, they're not usually the super type A personality.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Right? Like, they're not the super type A personality. They're usually, like, just like us, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so those are the two things that I've noticed, is that sometimes I get shocked when I'm on the phone with them and I'll give them a suggestion and they'll respond to me by saying something like, I trust you, Salima. And I'm like, you do?
Each are you, I trust me?
I'm like, you
that's
do?
So nice. Yeah,
but like, we both have that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Of like, you're just working this thing. Like, and they look to me because they're like, oh, you've seen this elsewhere. But I'm like, low key, I have no idea either. But I'm trying to figure it out with you too.
Yeah.
Yes, again, I know just a little bit more because I've seen it, but like, it's just so funny. So that's the personalities that I usually see.
It's so funny you mentioned this. And the reason why I'm smiling so much is because I think imposter syndrome at the entrepreneurial level is like a given.
100%.
It's like you have to expect it at every turn. And the chronic overthinker in me and you and probably everyone else who's doing something out on their own is funny that that's a common trait to me.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought, and I think the common perception about entrepreneurs is that they know what they're doing, they know what they want, and they're going to go get it. That I think that's a common perception. Yeah. I think people think that.
Yeah.
I thought that.
Yeah.
You know? But the honest truth is what you mentioned, right? They're just figuring it out along the way.
Yeah. There's this book that I have on my list, and I'm actually about to go pick it up. It's called Starting a Business and Losing My Mind.
Okay.
It's by the founder of Bonobos.
Got it.
Like the shirt company.
Yeah.
And like apparently it's all about this.
Oh, man.
Because it's like your mind is like, you're going to be constantly like, there's nobody else working on this for you. It's not like you go on vacation and everything is going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's just you.
Yeah.
Like.
It's really nice to hear that. I think over the course of these series, these podcasts, we're going to hear that a lot.
Yeah.
We're going to hear a lot of the concepts of imposter syndrome. We're going to hear a lot of, like just like the grit that you have to have, but the chronic overthinker in most people.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear. I think that's the most relatable thing about being entrepreneurs is that overthinking for what you think is going to be right for your business, as difficult as it is and as hard as it is to like manage in your like mental space.
Yeah.
It's likely something you have to do.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that you think about because it's your child, your baby, your thing, your passion, hopefully.
Totally.
So,
that's a big thing. I think something else that's a big thing is that you're going to constantly have this voice in your head that's like, just stop, just give up, like go do the thing that everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you say no to that voice though? Because I think that voice is very common.
You have to get really aware of your mind. Like you have to know when to pick yourself back up. Mm-hmm. Like that is probably the biggest challenge aside from learning how to deal with people.
Yeah.
Is your biggest challenge is going to be yourself. It's going to be how do you deal with yourself?
Yeah.
When things aren't going your way.
How do you deal with it? Like what is something that you do when Salima in Salima's head is saying, yo, go back to Meta? Yeah.
I have strong support now.
Yeah.
Like my husband Kareem.
Yeah.
He'll just be like, stop. You have time.
100%.
Like it's fine.
100%.
My dad, my brother. Like I see it. Here's something else that really helps too. In 2024, there's a lot more entrepreneurs on this face, and they're a lot more public about it.
Right.
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 So it's like you can kind of see their journeys too. So that I think also helps knowing that this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, here's the other thing: you have to be truly like passionate about whatever it is that you're offering.
Yeah.
Like you got to know that what you're offering is different or like you're like super in it. Like I feel very strongly about what I do. Like I love it. I really want to help these businesses grow. So I think that helps because I know within, like, even if I hear these voices or these like I'm just having a bad week, a bad month, sometimes even a bad year, right? Like it happens. Entrepreneurship is not linear by any means.
Yeah.
So I think that's just something that I've learned over time is like, and it's okay to take a day where you're just like, I'm going to work from bed because that's how shitty I feel right now. Right. Like it's okay to do that.
It's just part of it.
It's just a part of it. And then there's days where you feel on top of the world. Right.
You live for those highs.
You live for those highs, but you also accept the lows. I think that's a part of it.
Amazing.
You got to accept it.
100%.
And you have to accept whatever phase you're in right now because everything is temporary.
Yeah. It's again, it's so nice to hear because I think like for me, someone who's coming into the entrepreneurial life and who's witnessing a lot of people go through it themselves as well. One thing that's helped me and that I've noticed has helped others is thinking to yourself, if you can live with the regret of not ever trying it.
Exactly.
And if you can live with that regret, then sure, never open a business, never try your own thing.
Yeah.
But I couldn't.
Yeah.
I'm sure you couldn't. I'm sure most entrepreneurs would rather try and fail than say that they've never tried at all and like live with the regret of, maybe I could have done something. And not everyone is supposed to succeed. I think not everyone is supposed to achieve the pinnacle of entrepreneurship, of success in business. That's just unrealistic.
Totally.
But not trying is doing yourself a disservice, my opinion.
I completely agree with you, but I do think that one of the top things that deters people from even starting is failing. Yeah. And here's the thing, right? It's like you have to look back at all of these successful people in the world. Like Nike was not Phil Knight's first company.
Yeah, true.
It used to be called Blue Ribbon.
Yeah.
Right? Like you need to look at this stuff.
Yeah.
And be like, it doesn't look like this.
Right.
It looks a lot like this.
Right. Yeah.
And so I agree with you. Like not trying is doing yourself a disservice because whatever idea, whatever like service or whatever thing you want to do, it has come to you for a reason.
For sure.
Try it. Do it. Sure. And I tell people all the time too, I'm like, okay, you don't want to leave your job. Try to do it like after work for a little bit and see like if you like it. Like just to give you an example, even before I started this whole agency thing, I wanted to open a yoga studio.
No way.
Yeah, a yoga studio and a juice shop. So after work, I used to work in like tech sales in downtown Austin. And after work, I would go work at the yoga studio. And then on the weekends, I would go work at the juice shop to like see if I liked it. Very quickly. No, I realized that wasn't my path pretty quickly, sure. But at least I tried.
You tried it.
Like, how would I live with myself if I didn't try it?
Yeah.
Right. Like, you don't have to take these giant risks.
Sure. Yeah.
You can, like, you should. I think you should.
Yeah.
Because I think it's worth it. But part of entrepreneurship is just like trying it, and it doesn't have to be like a full dip. You can also do smaller, like more calculated risks.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. As much as I love the concept of putting yourself in a position to leap, taking those calculated risks is probably smart, especially for someone who's just testing out the waters.
Totally right. And everyone's like in their own situation. Like some people have kids. Yeah. Some people like they have like true responsibilities. And I feel like sometimes those are the people that are like, I really can't.
Yeah.
Like I just can't.
Yeah.
And that's really where I like say like take smaller like leaps or like, again, this gift has come to you for a reason. Just try. Just try to see what happens.
All right.
And again, it's that imposter syndrome of like, there's a million agencies out there. But there's a million consultants out there. Why would they need me? Well, there's a million t-shirt brands out there.
For sure.
There's a million glasses brands. Like, it doesn't matter. There's not enough. Like, somebody will resonate with you and will buy from you, will use your services, will do whatever. And you just need that like little bit of like, you get that one customer, that second customer, or whatever it is.
You just need to start. Yeah.
So.
All right. So you've started for a long time now. You've built your own agency. You've worked at others. You've learned from mentors. I'd say you're in a seems like comfortable position now, finally, even though you're growing every single day, which is part of the process. But what would you tell Salima, who was still at Meta, and who was thinking, should I do this?
Yeah.
Or who took the leave?
Yeah.
Like, what would you tell her?
I know this sounds cliche, but I would really just be like, it's going to be okay. Like, just because, look, I was 25 years old.
Yeah.
I, like, was literally, like, kind of in this, like, midlife crisis where it was, like, I just got out of college. I was, like, living that, like, high life of, like, still, like, going out with friends, doing all those things, but I had money now.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And now, like, starting at 25, that's really when people are starting to think about, like, more serious things with their career. Yeah. And I was making this big jump. So, like, honestly, Faheem, when I say that, like, it really took a toll on me, like, on my mental health, I'm, like, not saying that lightly. Like, it was tough to kind of dig myself out of that place, right? I would just tell myself to be more gentle with myself, right? Like, I think until I was 25, I didn't have to make, like, such a big decision that, like, seemed so unknown, right? It's so unknown. But again, I think everything happens for a reason. And, like, I'm glad that I felt those things. I'm glad that everything happened the way it did, because now if tough things happen, like those feelings creep back up.
For sure. For sure.
But now I know what they are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this will pass.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay.
And you probably know how to deal with them. You probably know how to manage your own thoughts a bit better, or manage your time better.
It's all a learning process.
Yeah.
It's not like solid, but at least you're right? Like, you're not where you were. You're like in a better place. So that helps.
For sure. Thank you so much, Salima. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. I sure got a lot. I hope viewers got a lot. I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on Behind the Business. And thank you to everyone who's joining and who's a part of this, for being a part of the journey on Behind the Business. My name is Faheem Savja. This is Salima Kassam. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us on Behind the Business. I hope today's story left you a little inspired and maybe one step closer to your own entrepreneurial dreams. Behind every business, there's a person with a vision and a story worth telling. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend who may need a little inspiration too. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep building, and keep listening. This is Faheem Savja, signing off from Behind the Business.